In this problem, we want to find the critical numbers and open intervals in which function is increasing or decreasing. We've got f of x is equal to x squared minus 25 all to the fourth power. Now our first step is to find derivative. Well, this is the chain rule, specifically the general power rule. We've got parentheses to a power. If you got parentheses to a power, to take the derivative, you take a power, put it out in front. What's inside the parentheses remains as is, so the x squared minus 25. Lower your power by 1. And then you multiply it times the derivative of what's inside the parentheses. Again, take your power, put it out in front. What's inside your parentheses remains as is. Lower your power by 1 times the derivative of what's inside the parentheses. So that gives us 4 times x squared minus 25 to the third power. The derivative of x squared minus 25 is 2x. And I'm going to put the 2x out in front and multiply it times the 4, and that gives us 4 times 2, or 8x, times x squared minus 25 to the third power. Okay. Step 2. Set your derivative equal to 0. So we got 8x times x squared minus 25 to the third power equal to 0. Zero factor property. Zero factor property says you get 0 on one side, you factor to the other side, you set each factor equal to 0. So I'm going to set 8x equal to 0, and I'll set x squared minus 25 all to the third power equal to 0. Now 8x equal to 0, I'll divide both sides by 8, and we get x is equal to 0. So that's our first critical number. Now remember what our derivative is. This is our derivative right here. We'll plug that in our calculator in just a little bit. Okay, now whenever you have parentheses to a power equal to 0, you can always drop the power and you just set what's inside your parentheses equal to 0. Now you could solve this different ways. I'm going to use the square root property. You could also factor it using difference to squares. Square root property will take the negative 25 to the right side. Becomes a positive 25. Square root property. Square root property says if you got something squared equal to something else, we'll drop the squared and we'll put a plus or minus square root around the other side. Now 25 is 5 times 5. And remember, with a square root, we're looking for a pair of somethings. Here's a pair of 5s, so a pair of 5 is going to come out in front as a single 5. So we get x is equal to plus or minus 5. Okay. Now before we build our table of intervals, let's go ahead and plug this into our calculator, our derivative. So press y equals. I'm going to go, like I say, y equals, press clear. And we're wanting to put in 8x. So 8x, beginning parentheses, x squared minus 25. So x squared minus 25. Close parentheses. And then we want third power. So do caret 3. Now you want to set up your table for the table mode. We're going to our table setup. We'll do second window. And see where it said independent? You want ask chose. Mine's already selected, but if yours isn't selected, you down arrow to that line, you right arrow, put your flashing cursor on the ask, and press the enter one time. And that'll highlight it. In second mode exits, you have anything. So now we go into table mode. So we do second graph. And you may or may not see numbers there. If you do see numbers, you can delete them. You just keep pressing your delete key over and over. Okay, now it's ready. Let's build our table of intervals. Okay, our smallest critical number is negative 5. So we're going to have x equals negative 5. Our next one's 0. And then we also have 5. Clear over here is positive infinity. And clear over here is negative infinity. Now we want to choose test cases. We want to choose an x value between negative infinity and negative 5, like negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, whatever you want. Here we want to choose something between -5 and 0, like -1, -2, -3. Here we want to choose something between 0 and 5, like 1. And here we want to choose something between 5 and positive infinity, like 6, 7, whatever you want. Now we're going to take each one of those and we're going to plug them in to our derivative. And you could do it the hard way, by hand, or you could use a calculator. Because remember, we just put the derivative on y equals. So over here in table mode, I'll put in -6. Then we got -1. I'm pressing enter after each one. 1 enter and 6 enter. So we put in our 4 test cases. Now the -6 gave us a negative number. Negative means this is decreasing. The -1 gave us a positive number, which means this is increasing. The +1 gave us a negative number, so it's decreasing. And the 6 gave us a positive number, so it's increasing. So this is decreasing from -infinity to -5. Then it's increasing from -5 to 0. I'm getting these numbers from the top here. This is the interval from -5 to 0. Then it's decreasing from 0 to 5. And then it's increasing from 5 to positive infinity. And those would be our answers.